Bill O'Brien spent 3 weeks in Columbus before he realized Massachusetts is home. And that's why he's going back to become the next head coach at Boston College. But the Buckeyes, they need an OC. Or did need an OC before hiring UCLA's Chip Kelly to join forces with Ryan Day and hopefully turn the program for the better. But what does this mean for the Buckeyes offense? Why is Kelly making this move now? And are the Bruins at a dead end before they've even played one game in the Big Ten? Let's go ahead and discuss live at Radio Row. But if you are new here, welcome on into the channel, people. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. We talk college football every single day, except for the last few because I've been busy with my other job, getting ready for the big game in Las Vegas. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best tip bros, college football aficionados, Ohio State fans, and the unfortunate UCLA fans about this channel, because we're on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Continue to follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson, Twitter, X, Instagram, wherever you go ahead and find your podcast. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. So, Chip Kelly is leaving UCLA head coach to become the offensive coordinator of the Buckeyes. Why? Why are we watching as more coaches are stepping down from running programs to take on other jobs? Well, for starters, it's a little different when it comes to Kelly. There was reports going on back in late November that he was already on the hot seat. In fact, there were some people saying he was already going to be fired, and then he gets a win over USC. They say we're going to hold out for another year. So it was already kind of a murky relationship. You don't know if you're going to be employed in 2025. You don't know if you're going to be back after this season. You kind of just know limbo. And you don't want to be in a limbo when you're going to a new conference, especially one where you lose 95% of your production and you're already down and out of the count. So this is an opportunity for him to leave on his own terms, him to not have that blemish of a firing against his resume, and for him now to be able to do things on his own standard. Here's the good news when it comes to Ryan Day and Chip Kelly's relationship. They know each other extremely well. Ryan Day was the OC for Kelly when he was winning accolades left and right up in Eugene. And now he gets to go ahead and surpass the master while the protege is the one now actually making the final calls. But at the same time, you can all admit that Kelly's offense is dynamic. It's forceful. There's a lot of up-tempo. It's a lot of good motion. It keeps people guessing and on their toes. And it's just another point of doubling down and making sure that you're built for this season. Everyone knows that going into the year, Ohio State faces incredible pressure. And while they should, they're Ohio State. They're supposed to be a team that plays for the college football playoff on the regular, win countless Big Ten titles, and hopefully win a national championship or two. Haven't done one since 2014, haven't won the Big Ten in the last 3 years. And yes, they did make the college football playoff, and maybe some of those problems would be solved. But there's always the tandem, well, unless the Mason Blue. How do we get better from it? You get better by adding in a coach like Chip Kelly. On top of that, with all the recruits that you brought in a top 3 recruiting class, not to mention the transfers, Sean Junkins, you also go ahead and you add in Will Howard. These are moves that are only doubling down for you to say, we know how important this year is. So you couldn't go ahead and hire some willy-nilly guy that maybe pans out or is an emerging star. That happens when you go and you have stability. There is not stability right now in Columbus. We know this. We know that right now, the way that the Buckeyes are, if he loses again, he's probably out of a job. And it's a shame because the guy is actually a great coach. People want to say he's born on third base. Well, maybe that's true, but just because if he was born with the silver spoon in his mouth does not mean he made a great recipe. At the same time, though, it doesn't really matter because if you lose 4 times to your rival, usually that doesn't pan out right. So adding in Kelly, a guy who he has full trust in, a guy who is now going to be calling the offense, because Day's not changing. He was going to allow Bill O'Brien to run the show with the play calling before he took the job at Boston College. The same you can imagine is going to happen on with Kelly at this point. But with Kelly, you look at the way that he's now going to be calling plays, there's a trust factor. And also, what's the best part about his offense? Up-tempo, a lot of mobility, a lot of rushing. You have 2 great running backs, Quinshon Junkins and Travion Henderson coming back, and a mobile quarterback and a guy in Will Howard. So it's hard not to like this move. It's hard not to think that this is actually somewhat of a little bit of an upgrade over Bill O'Brien. Not every day are you watching as coaches leave their programs, stable programs, especially in college football, to become an offensive coordinator in college football. At the NFL level, it happens all the time. We just watched a few days ago as Jeff Hafley started this whole shindig and created the chasm that now is Ohio State taking another head coach from it. But with Kelly, it's completely different. He's a guy that just wants to coach. And in today's structure where NIL, the transfer portal, and all these other little facets are going to hinder that type of success, you hear them talking about it. And you also heard Kelly more specifically talk about what the future of college football looks like with realignment. He just wants to coach. Being an OC at Ohio State allows you just to coach. It allows you just to be the one to call your shots. And then if you end up having great results, people are going to be noticing you. Maybe it's the NFL. They want you back as an offensive coordinator. He interviewed for multiple offensive coordinator jobs during the offseason. Maybe as a head coach. He has head coaching experience. One stint in Philadelphia, had some highs, a little bit of lows. San Francisco, nobody's going to really talk about that one. So the guy knows what he's doing. I don't think anybody has any questions about that. Moving forward, this is, again, what must-win year for the Buckeyes. Case in point. You can't add in a top 5 recruiting class, a guy who knows offense like the back of his hand, 2 really strong tailbacks, and an egregious amount of transfers that are going to be plug-and-play starters right now. This has to be a prove-it year. This has to be a must-win year. Because if it's going to be, what else needs to happen? You went out, you go ahead and you add in a transfer, and you still can't beat Michigan. We go ahead and we're going to fix our quarterback position. Well, we still can't beat Michigan. Well, now we're going to go out, we're going to add in an offensive-minded coach that many in the NFL wanted, and he was very adamant about leaving his Power 5 head coaching job, a future rival in the Big Ten, to be our ROC. And what's not going to work? This is a must-win year, but this is a must-win move by Ryan Day. You got to appreciate it. You got to love it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts. What is your grade of this hire? Tell everybody about this channel, and we'll see you next time.